How you doing, guys? I'm the Bearded Devil. Welcome to my channel. It has been quite a while since I've posted anything, video or a comment or interaction. So, needless to say, I've just been stupidly busy at work, and I've been doing a whole lot of work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. So anyway, enough of my life. But I had an opportunity to kind of sit down and really think about this, and I wanted to pour those thoughts out as per usual. Now, first thing I want to tackle, I want to address this to the health vegans. I have a question for you. All right. Is it possible that a human can live a relatively long and healthy life and not be vegan? This is a simple yes or no question. I would really appreciate your answer down in the comments below. All right. Now, second part, this goes out to the environmentalist vegans. If you would be so kind as to link me practical experiments, that means real world, actual hands-on experiments in which you can prove whether or not a single acre of land can sustain 15 humans on a vegan diet. And I want, mind you, this is to encompass not just the aspect of not eating animals, but the aspect of impact on the environment, on the actual lives of those animals that are on whatever. If there's any actual experiments that have been done out in the field with controlled conditions, accounting for the plethora of variables involved in an isolated environment, love to hear it. Love to hear training. I've sat here and tried to record this already 10 different times today at various times, and I get bucked every time. My dog goes crazy because she's deaf and responds to lights and shadow, and I live near train tracks. In fact, literally a stone's throw from my porch. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Alright. The soothing sounds of jet engines that don't fly. Well, not quite jet engines, but it's more like tank engines, but whatever. Anywho, but yes, something is a demonstrable, repeatable, real-world practical experiment that provides evidence to your claims. Because all your other arguments, the whole impact on environment as far as animal agriculture is concerned, gravy. Okay, what about regular agriculture? What about crops and whatnot? Well, we can go into that, but here's a trick. There's a claim of sustainability, of just the ability to feed so many people. Okay. Alright. Go for it. Prove it. With no outside sources. Meaning everything is anyway. Message me on Twitter, put DMs in my Instagram, what the fuck ever, here in the comment section, and we'll go. I'll go in a little more detail. But what I really want to focus in, of course, is third aspect, ethical vegans. Now there are other little bits and pieces to it as far as like other kinds of vegans, more or less, but they all kind of fall into, it's just another avenue at which they use as far forms of argumentation. But going into the big one, the one that can't be, you can't just put facts, figures, and all that kind of stuff against it. So this is the realm in which I like to discuss things. All right. To you ethical vegans, especially individuals who agree with or utilize arguments presented by Ask Yourself and Isaac Brown. Here's a question, and then I'm going to go into I'm going to come back to it, but here's an honest question. What are the consequences to being of less moral value? Now, if you know what I mean by that, and if you don't, I'm going to go ahead and refer it. Now, let me help you out here. Isaac Brown came up with this hierarchy of moral value, okay, with humans at a known top, meaning that we sit above everything else on Earth, with the hypothetical scenarios or hypothetical existence of the super intelligent aliens and the mega sentient AI, right? Okay. But as far as on this terrestrial plane, this blue ball circling through the galaxies and the universe, for us on this rock, we are at the top because reasons. Okay. Why? Are we the most intelligent, and are we the most sentient? How do you know? Anyway, as far as this moral hierarchy, this moral value hierarchy, right? What are the consequences to being of less moral value? Because they would have to be a consequence. Otherwise, why would it exist? Now, I've asked vegans this question several times, especially whenever they bring it up, right? That there's this moral value hierarchy, and because of that, animals don't get to vote. No idea how that relates to each other, because the right to vote is not a matter of morality. So why the fuck do you bring it up? You know, we in the biz call that a red herring. Anyway, but you have this moral hierarchy that's supposedly based off of sentience. The problem is, it's not. It's really not. It's based off of, well, okay. It could be construed as being based off of sentience, but the thing is intelligence is part and parcel to this package, right? Think about it. You can go and look at his thing. He has it on a number of videos. It's all over his Discord. It's on his Facebook. People sit there and refer to it as if it's actually a thing, as if it's real, and it's not. Because, okay, how do you measure sentience? How do you know that one thing is more sentient than the other? far as I can glean, it's a matter of intelligence. The more intelligent, and he said it himself, he has. It might have been a Freudian slip. Not entirely sure. But he did let it slip that some being, that if they are less intelligent, they have less sentience. We'll let that sink in for a moment. And less sentience means that they are of less moral value. So you could conclude that if something is less intelligent, it has less moral value. And skip the middleman. Now, and I realize, now here's the trick though, okay? If you follow it down, it's paired. Less intelligent, less sentience, less moral value. You keep going down until you have something that is virtually has no intelligence. Right? Now, but there's a cutoff. The cutoff for Isaac is when it graduates from the animal kingdom. Once it graduates from the animal kingdom, then there is no moral value. Even though it might be intelligent, it doesn't have sentience, so it's of no moral value. The thing is he cuts it off at animal kingdom, even though there are plenty of animals that have no brain, that are of the intelligence level of a plant, but not a plant. Yet, when questioned, and I noted in the videos, one of the previous videos where I went into interaction with the Canadian politician, he was very, very clear that there were non-sentient humans. He was bang, dude, bang, right on it. No questions asked. But when confronted with the idea of a non-sentient animal other than human, he was less than sure. So, as far as his logic is concerned, only humans can be non-sentient animals. Which, of course, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. We'll call that cognitive dissonance peeking through. When confronted with an uncomfortable fact, he brushes it off. Anyway, so you go down in intelligence, then apparently you go down in sentience. However, you can't have something that is of low intelligence, but infinite sentience, or something of no intelligence and any sentience. You get where I'm going here? So as much as he wants to sit there and does his whole, this person or that person's argument justifies, or their trait, their consistent trait, it justifies an infinite genocide of infinitely sentient beings. What does that, you obviously can't have infinitely sentient beings that are infinitely non-intelligent. They go hand in hand, don't they? Highly intelligent are apparently supposed to be highly sentient. Right? Does that make any sense? I mean, how would you be able to, is it possible for a normal everyday human to be infinitely sentient? I'm curious, because if you don't think so, if it's outside the realm of possibilities, how? You would have to have some manner in which you're measuring sentience. And as far as I can tell, there isn't any. Sure, there's some guy who came up with a theory based upon neurons and rates of fire and all that kind of stuff. But then again, this is the same person who gives plants sentience and entire universes, galaxies sentience. So pretty sure you guys don't want to use him as an example of how you would be able to measure, like actually quantify sentience outside of have brain. That is, of course, a prerequisite, is it not? Without a brain or a functioning brain, then sentience goes out the window, right? So you can't have no intelligence and infinite sentience. But somehow you can have infinite intelligence and no sentience. Completely probable. So it's really just it is a one-way street. Right? Sentience is directly connected to intelligence and so on and so forth, but however, intelligence isn't directly connected always to sentience, which is how that works. Now, by his own volition, he has said that someone, a human, if a human is of lower intelligence, then they have lower moral value. Lower intelligence, lower sentience, lower moral value. How does that play out? I have not been given a straight answer for this. How does it play out? What is the actual result of this inequity with the granting of moral value? There has to be a consequence. There has to be a downside. Otherwise, why sit there and base so much upon there existing a hierarchy? So I ask, hey, if an ant is orders of magnitude less intelligent and therefore less sentient and has less moral value than a fully cognizant human being, what does that mean? The answer I've gotten, that in a dilemma, a virtually impossible scenario, not impossible, an improbable scenario, a highly unlikely scenario in which a person has to choose between two varying subjects or themselves, then the individual being with more moral value wins. It's usually manifested in the survival scenario, which I find interesting because I've been hit with two different versions of this. One is a survival situation in which a person actively goes out and, you're the desert island shit, right? The deserted island, right? We've all heard the argument, which bears down on a person being placed in a scenario where they have to kill another sentient being in order to live for a time, right? Now, let's really break that down. Basically, you're going to go murder something or someone to eat it, to fill your belly with food. Okay? Let's not hedge around it. Let's not pretty it up. You're going to go out there, you're going to hunt it down, you're going to slit its throat, and you're going to consume its corpse. That's what we're talking about. And according to vegans, your desire to do so outweighs the other sentient being's moral value. And they claim that that is what happens when you have this hierarchy. Only that's not entirely how that would work, is it? In a scenario in which you have to hunt down, slit the throat, to murder another living organism, another sentient being, in order to consume its corpse, to eat it, right? To chow down on them innards, to pull apart tissue from muscle, or tissue from bone, to eat it raw or cooked, however you like it. Okay. That scenario is a dichotomy. Because that scenario is also presented in which you have two humans. Now what if it came down to that? You, someone else. You're both moral agents. You both have the same level of intelligence, therefore the same level of sentience. All else is equal. In what way at what point do you distinguish between murdering somebody to eat them, to consume their corpse? Where does their moral value come into play? Oh, well, it doesn't really exist anymore, right? Okay, apply that to someone who is, well, I don't know, a child. They are less intelligent than you, therefore less sentient than you. Are you justified in hunting them down, slitting their throats, and eating their corpse? And somehow still call yourself a vegan? Because here's the thing. If it didn't matter the sentient level of the person who is comparable to yourself, and it didn't matter if the person was of less sentience, a child or whatever, and it doesn't matter if it's an animal or what have you, then it's a useless argument to make. To claim that moral value is predicated upon sentience, and then that very thing, that very moral value, can be literally thrown by the wayside as soon as your survival is challenged. And we're not talking like, oh yeah, the other end of the argument, the presentation of the survival situation, is in which the person is on the defense, self-defense, right? Self-defense is basically part and parcel, and it's not much different. It really isn't any different when it comes to than the survival situation. It's either them or you, right? There's no other way around it. And it doesn't matter if it's a person who is of equal intelligence as you, or if someone who is less intelligent than you. Less moral value, same moral value, blah, blah, blah. Again, at no point in time does any of that matter. It is strictly down to them versus you. They're trying to kill you, therefore if you kill them, it's perfectly justified, blah, blah, blah. And that would... And their level of sentience or level of moral value had nothing to do with it at all, right? Now, because if you break it down, and the way they keep breaking it down, the more intelligent someone is, the more moral value they have. So if somebody is more intelligent than you, but isn't a very good person, who the fuck knows? But you're basically rolling over and say, yes, that person has much more moral value than me, and they would be completely justified in killing me. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Now, proponents for the NTT, individuals who use that as a form of argumentation. By the way, okay. The argument that's presented, it's all it is here's how it's window dressing. 4, argument for marginal cases. That's it. Oh, and they utilize the reductio ad absurdum. All right. The thing is it works against them just as effectively. Okay. If, according to vegans, that's ethical vegans, sentience is what grants moral value, then that opens the door up for the murder, rape, exploitation, and torture of innocent human beings in untold numbers for an untold amount of time and in untold ways, right? Now, when addressed with this particular kind of subject, the subject of non-sentient human beings, Isaac's reaction is to, well, his own cognitive dissonance kicks in, and he starts to explain away the thought process, right? By utilizing comatose patients or individuals who are on life support. Okay, it is basically a numbed reaction. Oh, they're on life support. Oh, okay, well, you can just go ahead and pull the plug. Oh, sweet and peaceful. Oh, look at that. You're really not harming them. They're just going to sleep forever. Oh, it's so peaceful. Nah, motherfucker. I'm talking about every single atrocity. We're talking like brutal rape. Like just murder in the most diabolical ways possible, humanly possible. Torturing. And yes, you can torture a body. It's at the very least harming it. And the same thing, exploiting, either sexual exploitation or for their body parts or for this or for that. Take your pick. But we're talking like the most graphic, gruesome ways possible that, according to your fucking ideology, at least your vision of that ideology, is absolutely 100% a motherfucking okay. The only bad thing is, well, several bad things. One of the glitches that you have in your little matrix is your own argument utilizing an appeal to popularity. Now, you hedge this by giving a caveat. Individuals who believe in universal basic rights or believe that humans are moral value, then they wouldn't agree with whatever other scenario. Well, they're not going to agree with yours either. Any human in their right mind, as soon as you open up your mouth and say that it's perfectly fine to rape, it's perfectly fine to slit the throats of innocent children, of innocent humans, period. Somehow or another, I don't think they're going to actually follow what you're trying to say. They're not going to agree with it. And since we're all about how much everyone else agrees with what you're saying, you're running into some issues here, kid. And there's no way out of it. There is no scenario in which you could actually sell this, saying, hey, it's perfectly okay. It's absolutely fine to do these things. Now you're going to come back and say, well, nobody's actually going to really do that. Doesn't matter. That is literally here nor there. We're talking about from a principled standpoint, aren't we? From a principled standpoint, everything you represent is abhorrent. Absolutely abysmal. And you have repeatedly said the same shit over and over. I mean, obviously over and over repeatedly, but no sentience, no moral value. Kill them all. Fuck them all. Destroy them all. Do anything you want to them, right? That is what you believe, right? Of course it is. Because you can't hold any other position at all that doesn't run into a conflict with your beliefs. And with the beliefs of course, and here's the thing, one of, that whole, anybody who believes in this, everyone who believes in not killing people, or in not murdering people and all that kind of stuff, yes, they're not gonna listen to you. But it goes even further than that. Again, I ask the question, what are the consequences for being of less moral value? I have yet to get an answer. I would love for one of you motherfuckers to actually answer it. What are the consequences? You can't use survival situation because that's not actually, it doesn't matter where a being sits on that scale. Whether it's you killing them to feed, to consume their corpse, or it's you're defending yourself from them doing the same. So, can't really use that. So I want to hear your thoughts. Well, read your thoughts. In any case, this has gone long enough. I will touch base again. Want to see what kind of reaction. But anyway, don't forget to post comments if you want. Fuck it, I don't give a shit. If you do, hey, I'll answer it. If you have a question, I'll answer it. No problem. Don't forget, if you're a vegan, don't forget to unlike it. Just make sure you downvote it and make sure you never subscribe. Otherwise, for everybody else, like, subscribe, share the video. I know that these are usually kind of long. Just how it works. Alright. Thank you for listening. I know it wasn't presentation worthyable, whatever, but at least I got one out. To all the vegans in Isaac's Discord, from me to you, go fuck yourselves. And once again, so fucking what? Alright, I'm out of here, kids. Later.